welcome back. Today on the phone we have a very neat guest, Mike Williams. He's a certified master hypnotherapist, a Reiki master, and his company Imagine Hypnotics does past life regression. He's also the host of the Sage of Quay radio hour, which is amazing. I've fallen down that rabbit hole here lately, and your voice is so soothing, Mike. So soothing.
He's a fucking hypnotist, yeah. Hypnotist. Did I add an H?
You did.
I might have added an H.
Well, welcome to the show, Mike.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Glad to be here.
Now, you can talk on just so many subjects. It's like overwhelming. I mean, you got Flat Earth, Paul McCartney being dead, and I know you love guitars. But I'm going to try to keep us kind of in a past life, afterlife, what happens when we die scenario.
Yeah, spooky. This is the month of October, we're doing a bunch of spooky. It's like a spooky extravaganza, so to speak.
Extravaganza.
So I had the pleasure of listening to the episode you pointed me to with Pam Nance and Ashley Field, and they are paranormal investigators. And in that interview, you talked about some personal ghost stories, and I was wondering if you'd tell us a little bit more about how you've interacted with spirits.
Well, when I was younger, Acacia, I had a lot of experiences that people would definitely consider to be paranormal. And when I was around, I guess, 10 or 11 years old, around there, I had seen full-body apparitions for months on end, and I would see them maybe 3 or 4 nights a week.
Wow.
And I was, it was interesting because I lived on Long Island in New York, and I shared the bedroom with my brother. We had a large bedroom, and I would watch these full-body apparitions walk between our beds.
Wow.
And I was the only one that saw them.
Really?
My brother didn't see them. Yeah.
Did you ever call it out to him? Did you call it out to him?
Did you see that?
I remember asking him that at night. I would say to him, look, did you see anything? Did you see any, kind of ghosts or whatever? And he would look at me like, no. And so I kind of kept it to myself. And because when you're a little kid, you don't really know who to speak to about it. I think I did speak to my mother about it, and
she probably didn't want you to speak about it again.
Well, she's pretty open, but a lot of times your parents just think you have an overactive imagination. You're tired,
or they
whatever,
don't want to
right?
believe it. Like as a parent, if my kids told me that, I wouldn't want to believe it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's like a little kid that tells their mother they have. They have a friend that they speak to that the mother and father can't see, right? The parents are like,
right. Imaginary friend. Yeah.
Drop dead friend.
So these spirits paraded through your room for months.
Yeah. It was like a loop. So they did the same thing over and over again. So it was like an energetic imprint.
Did they ever speak to you?
No, there was no speaking, but they would look down and they would see me, and they acknowledged me that way, but there was never any talking. I never felt overly fearful. I felt scared from the sense that I wasn't really understanding what was going on and what I was seeing, but there was nothing beyond that, and it went on for a long time.
Now, since you've been an adult, have you had seen any apparitions?
I did when I first moved into my current house, and I've been here about 10 years. So about, I would say 9 or 10 years ago, Acacia, there was a situation where I was downstairs. I have a vaulted ceiling that goes up to the second floor, and when I looked up, I didn't see a full-body apparition, but what I did see was a body from the waist down, and they were in like blue jeans. So it was very weird, and I remember being downstairs at the time on another night when I first moved in, and there was a lot of knocking around upstairs, and I was the only one home. And so what I did was I was watching television, so I turned the television down, and every time I turned the TV down, they would stop.
Of course.
Of course, right? So they think it's a little game. So I turned the TV back up, and it would start in again. So finally what happened was I just came upstairs, and because of a lot of the paranormal experiences I had when I was a kid, I wasn't really scared or afraid. I just came upstairs and I said, look, just knock it off. Okay, this is not funny.
Did you say it out loud?
I did. I said, because I'm just here by myself. If my partner Rebecca was here, she would have thought I was crazy. But I came up and I just said, you just knock it off, okay? This is not funny. I'm not going to, be playing this game all night. And it stopped. It stopped. I went downstairs. I put the TV on, and it just stopped.
Go ahead.
Real quick, two things. How old is your house, first of all?
The house is 22 years old, so it's not very old.
Okay, it's not that old.
Maybe now Indian burial ground or something.
Yeah, possibly. No. But like when you see these apparitions, does it in movies and television? It always looks black and white. Is it color? Do you see these things in color? Is it vivid? Is it like washed out? Like what? How close is television's reproduction of a ghost?
I think sometimes it's pretty close. My experience was that they were opaque, they were washed out, but the detail was there, so I could see them. But they were washed out, and I can easily see, and discern the clothing and all of that.
You knew they were blue jeans and not black jeans.
Yeah, well, the one here was weird because that was in Technicolor. Okay, the one in this house.
Really?
I'm talking. Wow. Yeah, I'm talking about when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was full body, but they were washed out. Like you can kind of see through them.
Right, sure.
Yeah, but that's at night in a dark room. Like everything kind of looks washed out, black and white.
Now, when I listened to this episode, you made a statement when you were talking about how they can hear and see us so clearly, and we can't. Interact with them that easy. I mean, you have to use like a spirit box or a recording device or catch them on, you don't have, it's a little bit harder. But you made this statement that maybe the ghosts, or they made the statement, I can't remember, that ghosts think we're dead. Like we're all on this plane and they can see our plane perfectly. Wow. And
that Pam had said that. I remember that now, Keisha. Yeah. That show goes back. But Pam had said that they can observe us and they can see us, and based upon their work, it appears that they can do it a lot more easier than we can. We're pretty much blind to it, to be honest, unless people are gifted. But apparently, based upon their work, it seems like they don't have as much of a challenge to see our realm.
Wow.
Yeah. So do they? I mean, like,
so we're the ghosts. It's like it's like an M. Night Shyamalan film. Is that?
I wonder if there's ghosts that can't see humans. Like, dude, Rodney can't see humans. You know that.
I know, it's just an interesting thing to think. Like it's almost like a two-way mirror, or one-way mirror. Where you look through then like they're just kind of scoping out we think it's a mirror.
I wonder if we freak them out, like if we scare them.
Well, see, this is the question that keeps coming to mind. Like, are ghosts into porn? Because they can go and like check, see what anybody's doing.
Like, my constant masturbation probably freaks them out. Right?
I mean, this is the thing I want to get into. I want to
my constant.
I don't think it's
not your constant.
I don't think it's the act. I think it's the content, Curtis.
I'll let you guys work through this conversation.
I know.
You know what you're on.
Back
onto
to the rails, boys. When you talk to different mediums and things like that, they describe dying as going to like a grassy field or meadow. And I've heard this now twice from two different people, and I hadn't really heard this before. And so when I know you do past life regressions, but have you gotten a window at all into that in-between place before another reincarnation thing happens? Like, can you tell us what you've learned from your experiences in talking to people about that place?
When you pass away and cross over?
Yeah, like that before the next.
The waiting room.
The waiting room, yeah.
Well, so what happens is when you pass away, you do go to the spirit world. And the spirit world is another realm. Right. And when you get there, when you die, you're still taking with you much of the experiences, the emotional and physical trauma, if you will, if you have any kind of heaviness, any of the stuff that you've been carrying around in your incarnate human life, you take with you initially when you pass away. So you're still you're still you from that incarnation. So what happens is, after a period of time, you're able to shake that off. And there's a whole, what they refer to in the spirit world as a cleansing process. And this cleansing process essentially gets all that stuff off of you. You're not carrying it around anymore.
Okay.
When you're in the spirit world, they can manifest any type of environment that suits the purposes of whatever the discussion is or whatever is taking place in the spirit world at that time. So when you pass away and you go to the spirit world, you could very well wind up, Acacia, in a beautiful field. And many, many clients who I do the past life work with, that's where they wind up. They end up in a beautiful field or some other scenic place, and it's very relaxing to them. It's very calming. And this is where, the process begins, where you get reacclimated back into the spirit world, back into your soul self, and off of the human physical incarnation.
Yeah, almost dropping the clothes of
Now, Mike,
material.
I got a two-part question here. Two things. Do you choose where you go? And do you have a say in where you go? And are you there alone? Like, are they all just in parallel universes? Now, I've asked another medium, the only other medium that I've met, and she claimed that everybody's in their own parallel existence. All whatever ghosts, spirits, whatever, are in their own, so they're unaware of the others. I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are.
Okay, so my view on this is that if you think of an old-fashioned radio where you can sweep it to get the frequencies,
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so right now, we're in a particular, very specific frequency.
Right.
But if you turn that knob a little left, a little right, you get bleeding from other channels if it were a radio.
Sure.
Right? So what happens essentially is these other realms, the dimensions, they're in different frequencies.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now, some people, some humans have the ability to be able to pick up the frequency bandwidth outside of what is typical for most people.
Yeah.
These would be psychics and folks like that.
Yeah.
They're cross-tuned.
And what happened? Yeah, essentially they can move a little further left, a little further right on that aperture, and because of that ability to do that, that's how they're able to plug into a frequency to the left of us or a frequency to the right of us. You see?
Yeah.
But there has to be so like even somebody who's a professional and does this very well only is seeing a small percentage of the parallels that are existing around us.
Or only what's letting them see.
I don't think you can tap into all
Right,
the frequencies to observe everything.
Like of all the things that like humans have been able to tune into, there's still so much more that exists right here.
Well, what do you think about like hauntings and spirits that are quite attached to our frequency? And what do you think about, are they trapped or are they?
Where's their meadow?
Yeah, are they just really close to our frequency and they haven't moved away or been cleansed? Like, how does this fit into like a haunting per se, or?
And where the fuck are our protectors during these hauntings?
Well, your protectors are always there. I mean, it's up to you to understand who your protectors are. So this is the whole thing where you have to connect back into your spirituality and back into your divine aspect. The problem that we have in this realm is most people don't do that. In fact, they focus on the negative aspects of life. They deal more with the satanic aspects or the negative or the evil and stuff like that, because it's a lot easier to do that. That's just the way evil works. It just makes it really easy to go into that realm.
And those are lower vibrating things.
Those are lower right.
Plus, that's what we've been exposed to.
Yes, well, you're being programmed all the time, and you're being moved in that and steered in that direction. So if you take the bait, that's where you're going to wind up, and that's where a lot of people have wound up. Now, to answer the question about where these ghosts come from, what happens is it's multifaceted. Some spirits they decide not to go to the light for whatever reason. And it's because some of them, this is, my opinion based upon the experience of doing the work, is that they don't want to give up the human aspect. They don't want to give up the material world. They don't want to give up that incarnation. So they are attached to it. And so the way the spirit world works is that you're not demanded, you're not given edicts or, orders to go to the light. That's completely up to your spirit, your soul, to make that decision. If you decide that you're going to stay back, what's going to happen is you're going to stay in a realm that is very much attached to the physical plane. And that's how you get your ghosts. I mean, they're there.
Yeah.
And they're essentially sharing that space. Remember when I was talking about the radios, you can go to the left, a little right.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
they're in that little bandwidth to the left and right. That's where they exist. Now also...
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and some souls are corrupted, and some souls have no intentions of ever going back to the light. Some souls will stick around. They want to go to the light, and they will, but they believe that they have some unfinished business that they have to take care of. Maybe they feel like they have to hang around to look after loved ones.
Yeah.
That's another scenario. But the other scenario, there's another scenario which says that some souls are corrupted, and that's where they want to stay, and they don't plan on going anywhere. Maybe forever.
Yeah.
They're going to just stay in that place because this is where they exist. This is where they thrive. This is where they live.
Now, when
so you have that too.
When you say the light, Michael, does that mean you believe? First of all, are you a religious person?
No, I'm a spiritual person, so I have no religious affiliation.
So what is the light?
The light is, okay, so when we talk about the light, what we're talking about is we are all light beings. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not New Agey stuff, but when I had a light between lives, I saw Sophia's light. And it is a light that just travels through the cosmos. That light will lead you to the spirit world and to other upper levels, upper dimensions, upper realms of existence. Now,
what did you call that again?
Sophia, the
Sophia,
goddess Sophia?
Yeah, Sophia.
Okay.
Yeah, the goddess Sophia. So if you look at it from a Gnostic perspective, it would be the light of Sophia.
Okay.
So the light is, it's a literal light. It's a bright light that is seen or experienced by many when they pass away and they cross over. And sometimes in the work that I do, they won't talk about or comment on a light. They essentially simply just, like that, they just travel. They just go right back home. Others will see the light and they will follow the light. And the light will take them, basically think of it as like a beacon.
Yeah.
To take them back to the spirit world. That's what it is.
A lighthouse.
Can they go back and forth? Can you come back from the light once you've been there? In your opinion?
Well, some have come back. These are stories that I have read and researched. I haven't had a particular session like this, but I had one very interesting session I can talk to you about that was was convinced me that not everybody goes to the light, but we can say that in a little bit. But some souls, when they pass away, let's just say they pass early, is a car accident or whatever.
Yeah.
When they get to the light, they'll meet up with their guides or guide. It's either singular or plural, depending upon who you're who's going to speak to when you get there.
Everyone's got one.
Everybody has one, and everybody has one that wants one. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So if you're going to hang out and you want to be spooky and stuff like that, maybe your guide's getting a cup of coffee up there waiting for you to get with the program. But
hey, Halloween's fun. It'll be spooky.
But some souls, what will happen is if there's, as an example, there's an accident, a car accident, and they die young or whatever, and they're moving into the light, going toward the spirit world. Sometimes it's been reported, like with near-death experience, that the soul, the person who is now a soul, and his soul self will say, "Look, I really need to go back. I have to go back. I have too many things I have to take care of. I have got my family." And there are times when, they will come back, and this is when they wind up back in their bodies, when they're obviously at the table in the hospital, and they just feel that feeling where they get sucked back in.
Yeah, and you've heard you hear a lot of these kind of stories. Not everybody can be having, the same scenario, this many people having the same scenario.
No, that's the whole thing with near-death experience. So, the practitioners, the medical practitioners, professionals want to say that it's a hallucination, but the problem with that is, a hallucination is not consistent, right? people will
Yeah.
have different hallucinations.
Yeah.
So what happens is it's very consistent. It comes back. It's the same process. It's the same type of story that takes place. And that's the same thing I found over and over and over again with my work with past life and life between lives regression, is that the process, there is a process. It's not happenstance. It's not haphazard. It's not,
There's a
catch can.
purpose for every piece of the puzzle.
Now,
exactly.
Now, Mike, let me just so you know, I'm not religious at all. I'm in the same boat. But couldn't you say the same thing for people who believe in God and Christians? I mean, there's plenty of examples that are almost identical of people that claim that they speak in tongues, and they're touched by Jesus or God or whatever they believe in.
Right. Well, people are steered by their belief system.
Yeah.
So couldn't you say the same thing when people claim that they see the light?
That because
Claim the same thing.
they're
programmed.
religious,
or
they
not
thought,
religious. They
just
Or is that just the way their brain? is
because
dealing
that's
with.
what we've been taught.
But we are
could
taught
happen.
that heaven is what you make it, in
True,
and so
true.
very much going back to the grassy meadow, like a lot of people, that's serenity to them.
Yeah,
So,
and the thing we need to remember is that in the religious text, whether you're talking about Christianity or Islam or Judaism, or you're talking about the Middle Eastern Hinduism as an example, there's a lot of truth in those texts,
and there's a lot of overlapping as well.
Yes, there's a lot of overlapping, and so what we shouldn't do is take it out and throw it out and say, oh well, it's this religion, so I don't believe any of that stuff. I don't believe in Jesus, or I don't believe in Muhammad, or whatever, and just toss it out. The thing is, forget about that. What you have to look at is the common thread that runs through these religions. Now, the religions, in my view, have been bastardized by man, right? So they're not in a pure state.
Yeah, they're corrupt. Yeah.
They're corrupt. They've been corrupted. So but there's still enough in there that people who take the time to research it and to understand and take a look at comparative religions as an example, they will start to piece this stuff together, and they will see that there is a lot of truth there. It's just that it's the way you interpret it.
They're all onto something.
But what it's also like, you take what feels right in your heart as you go and as you learn. Like if it feels right to you and it feels right to your soul, then there's something true in it for you. So there's there's something to be gained. Now, from going and doing the research. So I kind of back to I want to hit the EVPs real quick, because we just had an experience.
Well, let's clarify, what is an EVP?
Yeah.
It's a
electronic voice phenomenon.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Thanks, Mike.
yeah, thanks. And so we did a recording in a building that had a morgue in it, and the morgue housed bodies through the 1918 influenza, and they were so.
How it was put to us is the bodies were stacked like timber.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And so we set up and recorded, and we had a medium there, and we had quite an experience, and
there was a spirit named Lester
and we asked the spirit to speak to us, and he certainly made quite a noise.
Made himself known.
In our
digital
feedback.
gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Now, when I listened to your episode, they talked a lot about a white box or a spirit box needing that white noise, and we didn't need anything
But that's
like
normally
that.
analog. I know a little bit about it. When digital, the digitalness of it will pick it up without needing the white noise. Not always.
So
but
what did you guys use? Did you guys use a digital recorder?
Yeah,
and then
I
you
used
listened to it afterwards. Is that what you did?
No, it wasn't even planned. Like we were just
We haven't
recording
even
our show.
we haven't
Yeah,
even
this
got
is
a
a Halloween
chance.
special,
We haven't
actually.
even got a
Yeah.
chance to listen to it all back. This is just what we experienced in our headphones.
Yeah, while we were recording,
Yeah.
we heard a digital.
Okay, so you were hearing it real time?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, here's how crazy it was. And I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but it was on command. Like, Lester, if you're in the room.
The medium asked,
I
Acacia
asked. I said,
Lester,
sorry,
if you're
you're
in the
right.
room,
Yeah.
make yourself known.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everything went.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was
It was
chilling.
unbelievable.
So my question kind of is like, is a spirit like that are they having fun with us? Do you think, or do we need, what reason?
Is there
what
more to
what
it?
reason do
Yeah.
spirits that stay around have to like make themselves known like that, or to play like that? Are they just bored too, waiting? What do you like?
Well,
What do you think about that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it's hard to answer because nobody really knows. But one of the things that I thought about is that they're sharing the same space as we are. And so sometimes we like to look at it as they're hanging around and they should have better things to do. But think of it this way. Perhaps, they're living in a part of the frequency. Remember I talked about the frequency, spilling over left or right.
Right.
They may have an entire other existence there. In other words, they may be sitting in a chair for all we know.
That's true.
Or doing something, and they're sharing the same space. And as an example, I mean, this boggles a lot of people's minds. I mean, even if you think about it in terms of, remember the movie The Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, with Bruce Willis?
Right.
But what if we looked at it and said, are we really alive or are we dead?
Right.
And are we sharing a certain frequency or a certain dimension or space? And so I think it's possible that it's not necessarily true that they are just hanging around for whatever reasons, that it may be that they are living some type of an existence. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad existence. It just means that, they're in a different realm,
Right.
and they're sharing space with us.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes back to what we said in the beginning, Acacia, where you said, well, when I spoke to Pam, that they can interact or hear us and see us better than we can hear and interact with them.
Right.
So I think it's possible that may be what you were bumping up against, the same type of thing that Pam was talking about.
Well, and we had another we had a friend's phone that kept going off and on, and the medium told us that this young girl was playing with it. So we actually got kind of interacted.
Maybe we're their dreams. Maybe they're dreaming.
Maybe they are.
And we're part. That
or
we're
vice
part of that,
or vice versa.
Or do they dream? I mean,
yeah.
Is there like another?
A few
level?
questions.
You are our expert.
Do ghosts sleep?
I don't know. You'd have to ask. Did you ask Lester that?
Do ghosts enjoy?
We need to go back and ask more questions.
We do.
And that's the neat thing about Pam and Ashley is they do all this research before they go into these places, and they won't do residential. They'll just do like
the Mansfield
buildings,
Reformatory,
and things like that.
Known
And they had just gotten done doing Civil War and were on to Pirate Ghost, and this was like back in 2014.
Our son would love that. He loves the Flying Dutchman.
Well, they were actually going over pirate
Pirate
ships
Ghost.
that were sunken and feeling the things going on. And
like
recording.
on a boat, or were they diving?
I think on a boat. And you had said to them,
Boats and hoes.
that have you had a follow up with them? Is my question.
No, I'm going to. I want to. And Pam is a good friend of mine. So this is the thing. This is the reason why I connected with them, was because I didn't know Ashley very well. I knew that Pam worked with Ashley, but Pam's a friend. And so I knew that the type of work that she does, and I knew that, she was the real deal. So that's why I asked her, I said, would you be interested in coming on the show to talk about this? So one of the things I did leave off with them was to do a follow-up. So I will connect with Pam and see. I had to wait a little bit because it takes time for them to do these investigations.
Yeah, they do a lot of research.
They do a lot of research, and it's not like they're doing, an investigation every week. So they have to plan these things out. And by the way, that's not their full-time job, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They have a day job, and they've got to do this stuff on the side. But they're very, very good. And so what I will do, Acacia, is you just reminded me to give Pam a call.
Write yourself on a Post-it note.
Hey,
sorry, Pam.
Mike, not to get too personal, are you married? Have you ever been married?
In his past lives?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been around the bases a couple of times. Yeah.
Now you're to use maybe a inappropriate term, you're balls deep into this. Like, what did your wife think of, or wives, whatever, what did they think of your profession? Like, my wife looks at my job, like, I'll tell a story and she's like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Marty works in tool and die.
I work in tool and die. So, like, if I start talking about metal, she's like, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah. She zones out. Yeah.
She zones out. So we have common interests in other areas besides my job and my profession.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So, was that a driving force? It overtook you, or was this something that that you guys just didn't discuss? You did your profession, she did hers, and.
Well, it depends. It depends on which partner you want me to talk about. But let me just talk about my current girlfriend and partner, Rebecca. She's wonderful. So, and we've been together for years, and she's extremely supportive. And when we met years ago, I had just gotten my certification as a hypnotherapist, and to a lot of people, they find that to be spooky by itself because everything that they watch on TV, the movies and everything else. But she was very supportive, and she knew that I was very open to a lot of things. And when we were dating, I did talk to her a lot about my experiences growing up. And bless her heart, she's really a gentle soul. And
has she ever let you hypnotize her?
Oh yeah. She's had maybe, I think, 3 past lives, and also we'll do hypnosis for other things, for clinical things, like if she wants to have get stress relief, that type of thing there.
Sure.
So she's really open to it.
What is the
previous relationships? Not so much. It could have been with a sticking point. Where if I started talking about some of this stuff,
they're like, fucking Mike, come on,
Mike,
ghost, man.
Let me tell you, the way Mike is about his
Mike,
guitars.
my friends in.
I would say that a few wives might have been a little
trying to hypnotize me to do butt stuff, Mike. Jesus,
Mike, my fucking friends are coming over. Let's not talk about ghosts, okay? Let's talk about some other shit.
But Mike's really into guitars and into music, and he has an album out. Where is it on the board? Leaving Dystopia.
That's why I put it in red.
Leaving Dystopia. Yeah.
What kind of music is it, Mike?
It's rock, and it's in the vein of people say to me, it sounds very Beatles-ish, Mike, which I take a lot of pride in. So,
nice. Nice.
So it's Beatlesque, and I guess lack of a better description. And I released the album back in, I think, February of 2013. So I have a second one coming out. I'm trying to get it out in December. It's going to be called Hollow Moon. But I don't think I'm going to make the December date because I'm doing too many things like this, interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of guitar do you play? Or do you have a favorite?
He builds them, I think. You
really?
build them, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of refurbishing of electric guitars and stuff like that, and I will put them together. I'll buy the piece parts and put them together. And I have, I think, 35 guitars.
Well, Mike, I got to put you in contact with my company. We actually make frets for Carlos Santana. So
really?
Oh, do you really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Did not know that.
We wire EDM the metal frets for Carlos Santana. That's a different conversation.
What kind of guitar does he play, Carlos?
I don't know. We stainless steel frets.
There you go. It's got stainless steel frets from McAfee Tool and Die.
If anybody
it doesn't
wants,
matter as long as those frets are on it. Okay.
That's right. They're
That's
important.
right.
if anyone wants to check out Mike's music, you can find it at laboroflovemusic.com. Did I get that?
Yeah. I have to update the site, but it's all there.
And Mike does this Sage of Quay radio hour. And how frequently do you put that out? Is that a weekly?
Are we
release?
saying that right? Is it Quay?
Yeah, Quay. Yep.
Okay.
That's right. Yep. I do between 4 and 5 shows a month. That's what I try to do.
Nice.
Sometimes it's a little less, maybe
So once a week.
3 or 4.
And these are on YouTube, and they're wonderful. Like I loved putting one on, in the evening when I'm laying in bed, and it's just a nice soothing way to like unwind before bed. That's not light in your eyes.
The David Icke one, a lot of it, and David Icke just fascinates me, just because of his.
Curtis loves that.
The whole lizard people thing is.
Yeah.
It's just I think he's awesome. He loses me with the lizard people though.
I have to tip my hat to David, though. Let me just tell you a little story. When I first got started with the radio show about 3 years ago, there were 2 people that they didn't know who I was. I mean, from a hole in the wall.
Sure.
So somebody had given me David's email, and I had reached out to him, and I asked him if he would want to come on my show. I mean, and now, mind you, I really had nothing up on YouTube at this point. I had a couple of friends that I spoke to. who are into hypnosis and holistic healing. And David got back to me. He said, "Yeah, mate, I'd like to come on your show. Let's get a date." I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So he actually helped me kick it off, and I think I have over 30,000 something views on that show. And then the other person was, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's out of Australia's Max Egan. And Max is in the alternative research. Yeah, well, Max is a guitar player too. Long ago, and he's into alternative research and the truth movement, and he's a pretty big name in alternative research. And he was another person that I reached out to because I was listening to him for years. I just loved his podcast, but I didn't think he'd come on the show. Just like I didn't think David Icke would come on the show.
It's always worth sending an email. You never know.
Understand that.
Yeah. Then Max emailed me back. He says, "Yeah, come on." So those are the two guys that got it started, and from there it got the ball rolling. Because anytime you can flash up their two names with the types of guests that I have, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, David Icke was on your show? Yeah, I'll come on your show."
Sure.
Yep, it's all about building.
Browsing through your shows, that was the name. I was like, "Oh, I'll listen to that one because that guy's fucking sweet." So
yeah,
that's me. I have a YouTuber.
Well, and this is the thing about Mike. I mean, he can speak on so many subjects. You're overwhelmed by the amount. Like if you go to YouTube, you're gonna find something that you're gonna want to learn more about.
Well, flat earthers. Are you yourself a flat earther, Mike?
Yeah. Well, what I like to tell people is that I am not a heliocentrist. I do not believe that we live on a big ball.
Okay.
Now, is the Earth actually flat? Well, nobody really knows that. But if you really dig into the flat Earth research and take a look at what's out there, there's a lot of really good, smart people doing a lot of really hard work to reveal what our world is all about.
Right.
You don't live on a big ball.
Well, I mean, if we're a hologram, a ball doesn't make sense.
It's a plate
either.
on the back of a turtle, right?
Isn't right,
a Native American thing.
Well, by right, that would mean you don't buy into the moon landing, correct?
Well, I would think not. Yeah.
No, we did not land on the moon. No.
I'm with you on that, but I do believe the Earth is round.
Well, see,
okay, yeah. I mean, it's okay. Like I tell people, I did a video on Facebook, and I said, look, I don't take any personal issue with what anybody's personal beliefs are. If folks want to believe in heliocentrism, then that's your bag. You're a heliocentrist. If you are into geocentrism, which is the flat Earth, then you're a flat earther. That's okay too. We all have to go through life.
Yeah, somebody's gonna like Trump. Somebody's gonna like Johnson.
We don't need to get into
somebody's
this.
Somebody's gonna like Hillary.
So my question is this: if I agree, we're probably not round like a perfect sphere, but at some point, so do you believe
we're not doing
God,
this?
I want to get into this.
We're gonna have to invite him back if he'll have us.
This is the Derek Hess interview.
Well, real quick, let's just sum it up. At some point, do you hit the edge of the Earth and flip to the other side?
No, there's no edge, as has been told with the flat Earth types of stuff that's rolled out there. What you have is an ice wall.
Yeah, an ice
Antarctica.
wall.
Antarctica is an ice wall.
Right.
That's what it is, and so everything is contained within the ice wall. So the question becomes, what's beyond? What goes beyond the ice wall? What goes beyond Antarctica? That becomes another question. Are there other puddles out there, other worlds, right? So it's very intriguing. I like it because it really gets the critical thinking.
Yeah, it gets the juices. It gets the juices flowing.
My juices are flowing.
Why not?
Yeah, well, exactly. What else are we doing?
Okay, well,
I think you need to go home and take a cold shower.
I'll take one here
every night. What do you think of the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
All right, so the Mandela effect, from my perspective, is real, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Because 3 or 4 years ago, before it ever became popular on YouTube,
right,
a good friend of mine sent me a link to an article, and he said to me, "Mike, just read this." And he didn't say anything else. So I'm reading this article, and this goes back about 3 or 4 years ago. And the article starts off by saying there are some people that remember Kirk Douglas dying, and Helen Thomas dying, and Richard Chamberlain dying, right? So I'm reading this article, and I'm like, wait a minute. Kirk Douglas is dead. I remember Kirk Douglas dying in the 1990s, and I remember his funeral out in L.A., and I remember Michael Douglas coming out of the services uncontrollably emotional. He was very, very distraught.
Really?
And Yeah, and I remember this, and I also remember Helen Thomas, who was the lead White House correspondent. The older woman,
right?
That she had passed away, because I remember seeing very clearly in my mind the newspaper saying that Helen Thomas had passed away. So I'm reading this article, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? These people are dead." So I thought it was a big joke. So I went onto the internet and I typed in Kirk Douglas.
He's alive.
Joke's on you.
Yeah,
he's alive.
Yeah,
he's alive. He's like 100 years old.
Yeah,
now,
he had a massive stroke a while ago.
I just saw the birthday party
3 or 4 years ago, they said he was like 96, 97, and he was blogging. So that's what it said. And I was thinking to myself, this is unbelievable. So the thing is, and then I came across other people. I kept it to myself, because I thought, am I crazy?
Yeah. Well, and that's what it fucks with you. It makes you
really
think.
Does, yeah.
Because it's your memory against reality, and it's such a solid memory that
I think anybody that would look into the Mandela effect would see something that they thought
hits close to home.
Yeah, they thought was true that isn't true. Yeah.
My daughter is 30, and so I said to her, "Do you remember those books when you were a kid?" And I didn't complete the sentence on purpose. I said the Bears.
Yeah.
She could Berenstein Bears. Yeah. I said, no, it's the Berenstain Bears now. She goes, what? I said, yeah, go look it up.
Yeah.
So she goes on the internet. She's going, Dad, what is this? Is this a joke? I'm like, I don't know. I said, you tell me. I said, I thought Kirk Douglas died.
Same boat.
So I don't know. I do think that, it's crazy stuff, but I do believe that they do have the ability to manipulate time and space.
Well,
and
the thing now is that a lot of people trying to explain the Mandela effect is the CERN super collider, and that's one way to that they somehow have discovered a way, or they've created like a hiccup in time, which then created this alternate reality that some people remember and some people don't, and it's just super interesting. Like the most interesting part, one that I've seen, Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow has a revolver. Now I've seen the Wizard of Oz at least a dozen times, and I never remember him having a gun.
Yeah,
me too.
And that's in there, like that. So that's what I'm saying. Well, somebody's going to find something that they the Mandela effect,
and we've watched a ton of Mandela effect YouTubes. We've gone down that rabbit hole,
because it's dealing with your memory and your brain.
One of the things we came across was a woman hypnotist. And so she was talking about the Earth kind of being a trap, and it wasn't set out to be a trap. It just turned into a trap. This build up of negative karma that's kind of created this cycle that the spirits can't kind of break free to go on to other levels of frequency, I guess you could say, other dimensions.
I think this is all fantastic plugs for Michael's show. I think if anybody is interested in
this
any
stuff
of this
we
stuff,
don't normally
this
talk about.
is the interesting thing. She said, and I want to just get his quick thing because we got him. She said that they're gonna be two Earths. Okay, they're gonna split apart vibrationally. And the one won't even know it's gone, and it's going to be very much like a when God comes and everyone disappears, rapture. It's going to be very rapture
like
feeling,
rapture,
where
like
the people that are ready to vibrate at a higher level will just go to the new Earth, and it will be new, and the people that can't get to that vibration or won't allow themselves to
stay here and perish,
and will stay here and perish, and the old Earth will very much be like the way Revelations describes after the coming of the Antichrist. And so I just have what do you think about that theory? What have you've heard on that? And this will be the last one.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't subscribe to that theory. That's a lot of New Age mumbo jumbo. And what you really have here is Earth is a realm. We live in a realm. That's where we exist. And there are other realms like Earth that are higher dimensions. So it's not a matter of splitting. It's not a matter of this place going to hell in a handbasket. This is what this realm is all about. And this is what I try to explain to people. When you incarnate here, you incarnate to a school. And this is what this school and this curriculum is all about. Now, we're going to try very hard to try to change things. And what that really is, what people have to understand is that this is more of a metaphysical, spiritual development. It's not a physical incarnation learning experience. We come here physically to learn, but the actual learning and the development is at the soul level.
Yeah.
So I have a theory, and I shared this theory with a very good friend today, Christopher Gardner, who has his own podcast. My theory is this, that to the extent or the degree that humans realize that this is a matrix, that this is a realm where there is massive amounts of manipulation, control, deception, lies, and so on. In other words, to the degree that you take the red pill, which is truth and reality, that's going to determine what other opportunities are open to you when you incarnate again. So in other words, more doors will be open. So to the degree that you understand what this is all about, and you just don't waste your time here.
Yeah. So
doing stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you really start doing the hard work, and you start to pursue truth, and you live your life with the intent of serving creation. And what will happen is, when you go to the other side, when you cross over, they're going to say, "Good job." Now, think of it in terms of degrees, right?
Yeah.
You talk about secret societies have degrees.
Fast tracked to the next level.
Degrees of illumination, the degrees of the soul's illumination. Now, if you continue to come here and you don't understand what this is all about, and you continue to take the blue pill, then it is a trap. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to continue to incarnate here over and over and over and over again until somebody knocks on your door and says, "Hey, you need to wake up."
Yeah.
Right? And some people may never wake up. Some souls will spend an enormous amount of time incarnating back into this type of realm, with this type of dynamic, with this type of environment, with this level of evil. See? So that's what I think it is.
Now, I've heard, too, like a big Casey fan, and, you know, in the end, the very end, the end of all end, we're all heading back to the same place, and that's to the source. Like we're on an adventure to individuality, and we're gonna make our way back to the oneness. And no matter of amount of bad karma or anything is going to get in the way of that end journey. We're all heading back there. It's just however long it takes you to get back. You know,
but that's the thing. Right. It's the rate and pace.
Yes.
It's the rate and pace that the soul will get back there. Some souls will take a lot longer than other souls. And I do believe, because there's a theory that's out there with reincarnation. There are a lot of people who do spiritual regression in past lives, that you incarnate here and then your memory gets erased and you do it all over again. And you go back to the spirit world, and it's just everybody is all happy that you're back there, and you go down the chute, memory gets erased again. And it's like this cycle of, you know, your memory gets erased. My theory says that, yes, maybe your physical incarnate memory gets erased, so that you can have your experience here and you can live it with free choice and free will. So you're not a robot.
Yeah.
But the learning and the development from a soul perspective, that does not get erased.
It's almost like your innate personality that you're born with. I mean, you see personality in a child so early that it's not something that you've nurtured into being. That's that kid. There's no doubt about it. So that's something kind of your soul. That's part of your, actual being DNA.
Quick yes or no question. Do you believe that humans are affecting global warming?
I believe that the humans that are flying the planes, spraying the skies, are affecting global warming. So it's a question where they want to blame all of humanity. They want to say it's anthropogenic because all humans are contributing to it with carbon and all that stuff. That's absolutely, I don't agree with that at all. Whenever they talk about global warming, global cooling, climate change, and everything else, what they never ever discuss is the fact that they're geoengineering, that they're spraying the skies every which way from Sunday. And, they are manipulating the weather, like that storm down.
Matthew.
Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah,
Matthew was a geoengineered storm.
And
it was a man-made storm.
And you're down south there, so you took a little bit of that storm to yourself, I imagine.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yep.
we've just
We could
talked
talk to you forever,
we've talked
Mike.
your ear off.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Everybody go out and check out Sage of Quay on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hypnotics Imagine
Hypnotics.
Imagine Hypnotics. That's his website where you can learn a little bit more about his doing past life regressions. And
agree or disagree, you're going to be entertained. Like, it's all interesting shit.
It is.
It all
Very,
is.
yeah.
And then Labor of Love Music to check out his latest album, and he'll have another one coming up. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you,
Mike.
Mike.
We really appreciate you taking
You're
the time
welcome,
to talk to
Acacia,
us.
Curtis, and Marty. Thank you so much, guys, for having
Good
me on. It was a lot
fucking
of fun.
memory.
I
Good
know.
memory.
He's sharp. He's
He's a
sharp.
sharp one.
Actually, I have a good pen and piece of paper.
Well,
I'm
he's
with
smart.
I'm with you there.
There you go.
Thanks.
Hey, Mike, thanks
All
for
right,
coming
guys.
on,
Thanks,
man.
Mike.
All right,
All right.
man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll be back to wrap everything up in a nice little bow, and I'm gonna keep saying that because Acacia seems to be very annoyed by
Yeah,
it.
I'm totally annoyed by it.
So we'll be
Yeah,
back.
you keep digging that grave.
Yeah, we'll dig. Go 6 feet,
Don't go too
maybe
deep.
more. Yeah.
Don't go too deep. You'll go through.
Sometimes I feel so tired, but today I feel so wired. And I look through my crystal ball. All I see is that wall. So many people are standing still, drifting away. They lost their will. I just want to shake them and give them ears. Wake up, stop living in fear. You are human. You are a beautiful soul. You are one with creation. Come on, get up, let's go. Sometimes I feel so cheated, but today I won't be defeated. I cut the chains and I break free. Open your eyes and you will see. You are human. You are a beautiful soul.